Star Trek Prodigy, Supernova, Chapter 16. The crew gathered on the bridge of the protostar. Now that there was little interference from the Mirios generator, they were able to maintain an open channel with Yarmorn. "Now remember," said Yarmorn from the bridge's view screen, "Star Killer knows that this generator is the last one running, so it's sure to be more fortified than the other two. So all one team has to do is get there, destroy the generator, get the access code, and beam out before the Watchers get you." The crew stared at him in disbelief and worry. "The other team has to get to the Dyson sphere and shut down what is unquestionably the most advanced piece of technology ever devised by the Neuroan species." "But we'll have you on comms to help, right?" asked Rock. "Oh no, my young Brickar friend. The energy coming out of the sun star, coupled with the shock waves emanating from the fissures, will make communication completely impossible. You'll be on your own." This pep talk wasn't going as well as Warren had planned. "But it'll be fine." "Well, thanks for all that," said Dal, slumping in his chair. "We'll report back. Protostar out." The view screen disappeared and was replaced by a real-time view of the pulsating Dyson sphere. Janeway gave a report. "We've taken some hits while you were down on Mirios, but nothing too bad, and not nearly as serious as the initial shockwave that scattered you all over the system. I'm continuing to run diagnostics, but the only real problem is our lack of accurate sensor readings on Terres. Though we are showing clear signs of the Watcher's unique energy signatures, there's no way to get an accurate count of just how many of them there are, or where they are. All I can tell is, as Yomorn predicted, there are a lot of them. And there is one additional energy signature. We can surmise, based on what we were able to glean from Dreadnought's time in and on the protostar, that it's Star Killer." Gwyn's fretwork tingled. "Are you sure?" "There are too many similarities to think otherwise." "What about my father?" "We're unable to detect any life forms on the planet, not even Murph." "But my father could be there?" Gwyn pressed. "I'd normally say it's a statistical impossibility for your father or duplicate, or even a mirror universe version of anyone to be anywhere other than where we already know they are. But given that there's another Dreadnought around, all I can say is that it's improbable." Gwyn nodded. Janeway tried to console her. "Cold comfort, I know." Gwyn nodded again. "Speaking of cold," Dal said, "should we get going down to the ice planet?" "Not quite an ice planet," corrected Janeway. "But it is well on its way. Temperatures are definitely decreasing, so you and Gwyn better bundle up. It's going to be chilly down there." She turned to Jankum, Rock, and Zero. "You three, on the other hand, should prepare for much warmer temperatures. The Dyson sphere is maintained by the systems in a control room on the planet's surface. It's going to feel as hot and steamy as New York in August, so be prepared to sweat." "Where's New York?" asked Rock. "I think it's near Old York," offered Zero. Jankum lifted his arm and took a sniff. "Wherever it is, you should thank Jankum Pog for putting on extra deodorant this morning." The crew made their way to the transporter room. Janeway stood by the controls. "All right, let's go over your mission orders one last time. Gwyn and Dal, your first priority on Terres is to find Murph. Once he's safe and in your care, you'll shut down the remaining generator and acquire the access code. Rock Talk, Jankum, and Zero, you'll beam over to the Dyson station and monitor the energy flow from the planet. Once the connection is severed, you'll see a significant power fluctuation within the Dyson sphere as it tries to reconnect or reconfigure its last link. All the while, you're to continue to monitor the status of the Sunstar and try to extricate it from its containment field. Once Dal and Gwyn send you the access code, you must destroy the Dyson sphere as quickly as possible." "What's extricate mean?" asked Rock. Jankum stepped forward. "It means we throw eggs at it till it breaks free." "Not exactly, Jankum, but you do need to try to set the Sunstar free, said Janeway. Okay, said Dal. We all understand what we need to do. We'll meet you back here soon. Very soon, right? Asked Rock. Dal put on a brave face. Yeah, Rock. Super soon. Janeway walked over to the transporter controls. You'll all be back quicker than a Scalosian running a marathon. Just please be careful. Dal and Gwyn stepped onto the transporter pad. They looked at Rock one last time. She seemed so sad that all they could do was smile to show that they knew it was all going to work out. Energize, said Dal, hoping it would all work out. Chapter 17. Janeway to Dal. I'm here, Janeway. Careful. Thanks to your Morin's help, we're able to scan your immediate area. We're picking up lethal defense mechanisms. Gwyn extended her fretwork. We don't have time to be careful. Murph is waiting on us. Dal looked around at the near-frozen landscape. This planet is colder than the alien graveyard of Rura Pente. He wrapped his arms around his body to keep warm. He checked his tricorder. Now that they were on planet, it was showing that they were very close to one life sign. Gwyn tapped her comm badge. Yarmorn, can you hear me? Back on Mirios, Yarmorn activated the device the crew had left him.
Loud and clear, Gwyn.
Any advice?
Look for access to an underground bunker. The inhabitants of all 3 planets shared excavation and architectural plans before Starkiller isolated us. So the caves and tunnel systems on Teres should be just like the ones on Mirios and Orissi. But instead of leading you through a labyrinth like on the other planets, these coordinates should bring you within a few minutes' walk to the generator. I'm sorry I couldn't place you in the tunnel itself, but the closer you get to the generator, the higher the concentration of robots, and it would have been too risky. You could have materialized in a nest of watchers.
Gwyn kicked away some snow and spotted a set of doors just like the ones they'd fallen next to on Osiri and opened on Mirios. These are the right coordinates, she thought. Dal opened the doors while Gwyn extended her fretwork and shone a light down into the darkness. They couldn't hear anything, including the telltale clicking of Watcher mech, and proceeded slowly down the stairs. Despite the ceiling overhead, snow made its way through the doors and onto the stairs, making Dal and Gwyn even more cautious of every footfall. It'd be one thing to come upon a hive of watchers, but it'd be another thing to draw their attention by falling down a flight of stairs. Dal thought of his Tellarite friend. Jankum would never let me hear the end of it. As they got to the bottom of the stairs, Dal and Gwyn found yet another mural on the walls. It depicted images of humanoids digging a series of tunnels. These tunnels. Legions of diggers excavated and mined beneath the surface of the planet, while under the watchful and terrorizing eyes of the Watchers. Watchers forcing others to dig and mine? Here, Orissi, Mirios, Tarzal Mora, at least they're consistent no matter what planet they're on, said Dal. Gwyn shook her head. Or under. Before the mural ended, its main subject changed from the digging of the tunnel to the construction of what could only be the generator. It was painted much bigger than any of the bipedal figures, and lines radiated out of it, heading up toward a representation of the Sunstar. Gwyn checked her tricorder. I'm reading a power source in a life form around the next bend. Working together, they managed to open the entrance to an enormous engine radiating with power. A huge tube extended up through the ceiling. Dal shielded his eyes. We found the generator! Yeah, readings show the energy generated here is tethered directly to the Sunstar, observed Gwyn. Meep! Murph! Dal and Gwyn ran toward their blue, gelatinous friend. Unlike Rock Talk and Zero, Murph seemed to be free to roam the generator room. Murph didn't seem any worse for wear. Gwyn searched the room for clues. It soon became clear that Murph had made his own freedom. She spied shackles similar to those created by Dreadnought, and Gwyn's father, the diviner, attached to a stone wall. They were as useless here as they'd been on Tarzal Mora. Nothing could hold Murph's elastic and seemingly indestructible body in one place for too long. She held up a shackle and looked at Murph. Squee! He was very proud of himself. Dal picked up his pal and swung him around. How did you get here? How did you get out? Wait, don't answer that. He turned toward the generator. We have to figure out a way to shut this thing down. Gwen started hitting the console with Murph's discarded shackles. Try hitting it, or find something to stab it, or somehow break it. You're like really violent all of a sudden, Dal said to her. Our lives are on the line, Dal. Get moving. They searched the room but found nothing strong enough to make a dent in the generator's control panel. Gwen face-palmed. Ugh, the one time we could use a watcher, we don't have one. Dal had to agree. He'd spent years trying to avoid the mechanical creatures, and now they were the only thing durable enough to make a difference. Yeah, the only thing stronger than a watcher is Murph. Murph! Shouted Gwen and Dal at the same time. Murph smiled. Chapter 18. Jankum, Rock-Talk, and Zero beamed from the protostar onto the Dyson sphere.
Janeway wasn't kidding, said Jankum. It's as hot as a Cardassian fire pit in here.
Rock checked her tricorder for watcher energy signatures. Is that better or worse than New York in August?
Jankum Pog doesn't know, but Jankum Pog doesn't want to find out. Any watchers around?
Rock shook her head. Nope. That's weird, right? Zero checked her tricorder to confirm Rock's report. Not really. If Dreadnought, or Starkiller, knew there was only one generator working, he'd want to send as many reinforcements as possible to protect it. This station is self-sufficient, and without much interstellar traffic to contend with, there probably wouldn't be a need to keep any watchers on guard. Let's find the main control room. Rock to Gwen? Rock to Dal? Janeway? Can anyone hear me? Rock-Talk turned to Zero. They can't hear me. I'm not surprised. We're probably too close to the Sunstar's radiation for a proper signal to get through. I would imagine the shock waves coming from the fissures are probably sending our transmissions out in erratic and unexpected patterns, too.
Jankum Pog has been called erratic and unexpected, said the Tellarite.
Yes, said the Medusan. I expect you have been. Rock was less worried than she was bored. So, what do we do now? Zero sighed. I suppose we wait. Jankum waved at Zero.
Nah, we explore.